Good evening. Thank you so very much for your presence. And thanks, Mr. Charles Gray, for giving such an introduction. I don't know if I deserve all of that, because I never felt one day that I would be useful to anyone, either to myself. I think I was 14 years of age when the desire came to do something. But I don't know what it is I was going to do either. Because not going to school when you're 14, what could you offer? What is it that you could offer that could be of any consequence? I didn't know. At 14, I was working for my grandmother. I worked from 14 to 20. Arrived in New Orleans, 1954. I was 20 years of age. Still want to do something for people. I became a merchant seaman. I didn't see where that connected. I became a steam engineer without going to school. I have an engineer license. I learned that on-the-job training. I went to California when I got so sick, I quit the ocean. I went to California. Found a man that healed me. Still a steam engineer for the county of Los Angeles. I told my friends and my colleagues that I was quitting my job to become a healer. They say, oh yeah, what you gonna heal? I say, every disease that they could bring to me. So yeah, man, you're 47 years of age, and you're gonna quit your job, but you have 10 years seniority? You only need 10 more years to go, and you could retire with a nice $1,500 a month wages in retirement. But I chose to follow my dictate. From 14 years of age until 47, I realized my dream. And I did something that I believe even until today, I am the only individual that has a vocation, a profession, or a trade that is ashamed to tell the world the benefit of that trade. You see, there is something that is missing in our society. There is something that has plagued us over 400 years. What plagued us is deceit. Deceit has plagued us. And that deceit had made us, all of us, to feel very insecure with the other, which means I can't trust you. Child, don't you trust anybody now? Because you know how people are, which is true. But we could never get to the root of the deceit. And I suppose that I may have told a lie or two in the past, compelled to tell a lie, which is embarrassing because you have to cover that lie. But we are compelled to do so. So this journey of mine is not my journey. It is my predilection. I left the most beautifulest woman in the world that I loved so very much. Her name was Marilyn Woods from Tennessee. When I told her that I was going to leave her, she asked if there was another woman. I said, no. It's these plants. And what does that have to do with our marriage? I said, you're not going to follow me because you met me as an engineer, I bought your house, you got Volvos every year, and I'm going to abandon all of that to go after nothing. I don't want you to suffer, because I will suffer. I left that lady a week later. I left my job. I left everything. Now tonight I stand before you, about to tell you what has been accomplished, not by me, but by the entity that we all are indebted to, which is God, which is creation. But because of deceit, it is very difficult for us to accept truth. Truth today in our life has been expressed in 1,000 ways. What is truth in China isn't truth here. What is truth for the Alaska, not so for the Bedouin in the desert of Arabia. But there is a universal truth. That's God. But even God has so many different expressions. I'm a Muslim, I am a Christian, I am a Buddha, I am a Shinto, I am a Punjab, I am all of that, and we all say it all filters to God, which is good. Because if we were tied to that one entity we call God, then love would come out of either one of them. So therefore there would be no wars, because we are tied to God. If we all are tied to God, there could be no war, because God is love, not war. So again, we begin to see that something is wrong, because whatever religion we are, we find a need and a compelling thing to offend the other in the name of the God that we defend. So I knew that all of this was against me. So what happened? God placed something in me that I am ashamed to tell you what has been accomplished through the energy of God, not through me. Because I don't need no credit from you. I don't need no fame, because I don't need that. That doesn't make me happy. Your giving me credit doesn't make me happy. What makes me happy is that which comes from inside of me. You can't give me that. No one could give me that. But what I need from you is this. What you need from me, that is love. That's all I need from you. This message is not mine. Because the very substance that I use to heal, did I make them? Did I make this? No, God made this. So when you are healed and you give me the credit, you just forgot it was God that healed you, because he made the plants. But with these plants that God made, in 1979, a woman came from Mexico that was insane for 11 years, and she was killed. My friends thought that I was lying. Mr. Frederick came, and he was blind. He was blind for 11 years. He was seen in 2 days. Oh, I was lying again. When the young man came to me, or I was called from Washington, D.C., because there was someone that was suffering with AIDS, and he was cured, and I was telling people in New York and in Washington, D.C., you thought again that I was lying. But since I was prepared for the world, lies, I was shown that if I talk to you and you believe that this is a lie, well, I am not the one that's living the lie. It is you who disbelieve me that lives that lie. So every time that I saw that thing in your eyes that shows that you thought that I was lying, don't you ever believe that I wasn't comfortable. Yes, I was comfortable. Because I know that you were living a lie, and it was living that lie only because of disease. And that disease brings that doubt in us. We have no trust in one another anymore. So when truth appears, how are we going to receive it? What is it that we have inside of our being to receive that truth? I don't know. But I stand before you today at 65, feeling very healthy. I'm feeling very good. I didn't go to school to learn ABC or 1, 2, 3. I didn't go to kindergarten. I didn't read any books on how to win friends and influence people just to stand before you and talk. Haven't you heard many says, well, I can't talk because I'm very nervous. But what could make you nervous to talk to your brothers and your sisters? I mean, you talk to your husband, you talk to your wife. Why can't you talk to a group? Something in us, that fear that comes with the food that we eat. That was the violation all the time, but we couldn't see it. We cannot see it even now. So, in 1985, I decided to put the ad in the New York Post, the Amsterdam News, and the Village Voice that AIDS has been cured. What did I do that for? I had all of the healers in New York jumping all over me. They too thought that I was lying. When I was invited to WLIB to talk, I started talking about the injury that carrot affords the body. Once we ingest that substance, carrots are starch, carrots are dangerous. Everybody jumped on me. 2 years after the ad ran, I was taken to jail. Now there it is. Remember what I said, that truth today is very difficult for us to identify or to support, because the land in which we live is not supported by truth. So when truth comes, it is scary. It puts fear in you. Even when someone tells you the truth, it is scary as you want it to be. I was arrested. When they was putting the handcuffs on me, I asked the detectives, why are you arresting me? Because you claim to cure AIDS and sickle cell anemia and diabetes and lupus, herpes, and the rest. I said, sir, I ask you again, why are you arresting me? I know what I said. I want to know, why are you arresting me? And what was the answer? Because you said that. I said, but I know that. Why are you arresting me? Because the Supreme Court of New York said that you've been practicing medicine without a license, and that you're selling products not approved by the FDA and claiming to cure AIDS, which is a fraudulent claim. I say, how do you know that? Well, you will defend yourself in court. Now look at that. I tell the truth. I had to get a lawyer. I had to go to court. I had to defend myself. And after I won, now what? You still don't believe it. Because it is truth. You cannot sell truth in today's society. What you sell is a lie. Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola sells more than any product that is American all over the world. Yet Coca-Cola would eat your liver. It would eat up your intestines and your esophagus. But it sells. Protein. Protein sells. Everybody has brags in his house. Why? Because I need my protein. My liquid protein. Another lie. Because when you ask the question, If protein is a necessary food, is it alive? Because food that nourishes these cells has to be alive and electrical. Protein has no electricity. When I take enzymes, when I take vitamins, always looking for a way to defend that which we think is true. How would we be able to identify truth? When the very environment that God placed us in, we do not live there any longer. We live in another environment. The food that God placed for us in that environment, that food we are not eating. Now, could any one of us begin to fathom the extent of the damage done by not ingesting those food and ingesting the food of another? Could any one of us could really fathom the extent of the damage done? Well, I'm going to begin to show us how we could begin to measure this damage. This is why this message that is about to be delivered this evening will be difficult. It will be difficult because when the African was making babies 500 years prior to slavery, the African didn't have chitlins in his diet. Neither did he have potatoes, sweet or Irish. He didn't have lamb. He didn't have chicken. He didn't have cheese. He didn't have no butter with biscuits. He didn't have any cake. Didn't have eggs. He didn't have any of the components that causes disease. This was not in his diet. So the quality of the babies that was born from that sperm, that baby was as healthy as God wanted to be. So you and I are the result of a sperm that had cheese, butter, eggs, alcohol, and cigarettes. Not talk about the drugs. Then they made love to our mother, and we are the product of that love. And then we have the nerve to tell each other that we don't have time for each other, that because she takes drugs, that she is not like me. Well, I'm not above a prostitute nor a drug addict. I am both. We have been violated. So that child is now on drugs, and you think it is her fault. The environment spermed that. That is the result of the environment in which we live. Because when we live in the environment that God gave us, there was no such thing as drugs. So why is she a drug addict and a prostitute? Is it God? No, it is the environment. Now, we are looking for healing. We want healing. We need healing. When the psychiatrists are looking as to the reason why they are shooing them up in the school, they are overlooking the food that they're eating. And how do I know? The crazy woman that was brought from Mexico? Well, all of us know that insanity should be treated to the nervous system. I gave her everything for the central nervous system that worked for other people. With her, it didn't work. My wife said from the kitchen, go to her guts. And when I went to her intestines, 2 days later, she was no longer insane, telling us that, yes, it is the food that we eat that makes us sick. But how many of us are qualified now to select from this planet the food that God made for us? None of us. We know about anthropology, history, Egyptology, paleontology, archaeology, all the ologies but life itself. Well, I didn't pay heed to none of the ologies. My eyes were focused on health, on well-being, not because I wanted to, but I could clearly see that what was being pursued in the 60s, all these historians with all these books, and now we find ourselves 39 years later, 1999, sick as could be. We are so sick that we don't even trust ourselves. So now the message is here. And all of us agree that everything is in divine order. Am I right? Of course we are right. In 1555 or in 1560, when our fathers were slaves here in America, did they know that chitlins was going to play havoc on themselves? No, they didn't know. They ate it because that's all they had. And we ate that food all the way from slavery until now. We eat chicken. We eat chitlins. We eat hog maws. We eat cheese. We eat butter. And these things are ungodly. God did not make a cow. Man did that. That's a hybrid animal. But now the message is here. How come the message is here? That we should not eat those things. And we know this to be a fact, because as we remove ourselves and we remove people from that diet, their pains, their joints, their knees, and everything begin to subside, all the pains. And one day they are all gone. Why? Because we have returned to the food of God. And what is it that we are doing that is so fantastic, that is so over and above that what is being offered? We are only cleansing the system and giving you the herb that God made. See, many of the menus that you see on herbs, you find that they would say peppermint, cayenne pepper. Everyone has golden seal. And all these herbs were not made by God. The trick is to use only the herb that God made. Because in the Bible that we read, it says that the herbs are for the healing of the nations. So when it is said that in the Bible, then it says that something is wrong, because the herbalists of today are not healing anything. So what is the wrong? Is that they are not selecting from the repertoire that God made. They are selecting from what man made. Peppermint was made. Comfrey, aloe vera, garlic. Garlic was made. Yet you and I have been told for many, 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 many years that the best thing for pressure is garlic. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to say this. This journey is not a difficult one. It may be tedious. But to begin to heal the human body, as what we are doing at the Usha Research Institute, what we do is this. We cleanse the system. Every disease, we said to the Supreme Court, comes from one source. When the mucous membrane has been compromised, it stands to reason. Dr.Sebi just began this journey 27 years ago. And protein and vitamin, enzymes, and the rest was on the market long before we came, right? Well, if protein and vitamins were good, then why is it that we continue to be weak and sick? If aloe vera and comfrey and the rest that they offer, such as the peppermint and the cayenne pepper, were good, then why is it that disease is still progressing? Now, weren't we told that sickle cell anemia is incurable? Of course they said that. And then they go further to say that God gave us sickle cell anemia. And we even believe that. We believe everyone but ourselves. We believe every race in the world. Mr. Charles Gray was telling me today, when we were coming here, that he could see the reason why we have this fear in believing each other's, because it is easy for a white man to be a drunk on the street, and overnight he said that he's seen God and we follow him. It is true. So something was done to us for afford us to do that. Your brother stands before you today and you say, Dr.Sebi cure AIDS. You don't say, the black race cure AIDS. You just single me out. I'm you no longer. But when the Chinese explode their bomb, they didn't say one man, they say the people, right? The Chinese people. And when they talk about the Russian going to the moon, they say the Russian people. And when the Japanese were doing research with AIDS, they say the Japanese people are doing research. But when your brother, Dr. Sebi, cure AIDS, you say he cure AIDS, not that we cure AIDS. That is how sick we are. It's not that we want to be sick, and it's not that you want to refuse me. We have been made to do that. You cannot help that. I'm going to show you some instances. In 1989, there was a big crave. 1990, all of the leaders in the United States supported a substance they called Kimron. Am I right? And they said that Kimron was the panacea to AIDS. Didn't cure anyone. Didn't cure anyone, but they supported it, right? And that Kimron was made right here in the United States. Kimron is a compound made from interferon and AZT, made right here. No Kenya, no Africa. But it was supported by the professional protesters and the leaders. Dr.Sebi and the Usha Research Institute showed documentation, showed diagnostic procedures from laboratories that yes, he cured AIDS. Did they support it? No. They asked me, have you seen Minister Farrakhan? I said, I heard of the minister. Well, why don't you go and see him? I said, I can't do that. He said, why? I said, you see, you're not seeing my position. My position is not one that reigns where that fan is at. My position is way down there. My son told me one day, sir, that I'm in the wrong profession. He said, Daddy, you have to fight to keep the rent paid, yet you're curing people of sickle cell anemia and broken bones. And you have to fight to feed us. Yet you messed up, Dad, because Mike Tyson, he broke their jaws and he get millions, and they have to come to you to heal their jaws and you get pennies. So that is the society in which we live. You pay someone millions to break somebody's jawbone, and the one that repaired the jawbone gets pennies. That is the time in which we live. So this thing about Kimron had to be that way. It was made in America, so they supported Kimron. They cannot support me. So when I said about Minister Farrakhan, I said he's way up there, and I'm way down there. How could you expect for a man with the image of Minister Farrakhan way up there to come to a brother like me who's way down there? You have never seen that, sir. But I give thanks to God that my position remained way down there. So I have no place to fall from. I'm already way down there. So in other words, someone that has reached such a high level cannot reach all the way down, because if he does that, then he's saying that his position wasn't that quite credible, isn't it? You see? And people don't do those things. They prefer to die. You don't do that. It's like a country in power giving up the power to another. That doesn't happen. You have to fight it. You have to win it with war. So that is what's going on. And what is going on for me is that when I set out in front of the Supreme Court, I told them that there's only one disease. And that disease is what? Mucus in the system. Turn to pus. And I come, cleanse it out, and then revitalize the cells. This has been argued, this methodology, right here in Philadelphia. Her name is Zadia Ife. I don't know who here knows Zadia. Raise your hands. She's from right here. Zadia had myasthenia gravis. Degeneration of the cells of the brain. The doctor said she would never walk again normally, and that she would progressively get worse. 6 months after the treatment, Zadia was walking normally. And Zadia told me a story a month ago in Los Angeles that they had cut her thymus gland out, but it grew back. So when we talk about cell regeneration, a gland grew back. she's writing a paper on it right now as we speak. How was all this accomplished? It was accomplished because truth was in front of my eyes, and I was able to identify truth. Not that I'm the owner of truth. No, I'm a servant of truth. The best, I could say. So we clean the cells, whether you have leukemia, sickle cell anemia, whatever disease. It is mucus concentrated to cause that disease. So how could all these diseases be cured by just giving everyone the same compound? Well, common sense. We go away from philosophy, put philosophy away, and just look at reality and God, that which is natural. And we find that it's very simple. It's very easy. You stop eating the garbage to begin with. But now, as we begin to think about the garbage that bring the disease in the first place, that brought the disease in the first place, then we begin to question, are we qualified to leave the garbage? It's like going home this evening. And you say, well, when you open that refrigerator, now Dr. Sebi said that this, all this is bad. Now what are we going to do? What are you going to eat? We don't know. We don't know. But what we did know, what we do know now, that stuff in the refrigerator was not made by God and that it was not made for us. This is why our brothers and myself, we brothers, suffer with prostate cancer, prostate inflammation, nerve problem, impotence, and a whole bunch of other stuff very young. Then we begin to hide our disease like it is ours, like no one else should know about this, because this is embarrassing to even talk about it. No. When I was impotent, I cried out loud, hey fellas, I'm impotent, who could help me? Because I don't have that thing they call shame. Sisters too. Many times I sit with you sisters and I ask, do you have vaginal discharge? Well, sometimes. No, it's all the time. It's all the time. But there again, that's not yours either. That's the food that was afforded to you. In the Supreme Court, I asked the judge, if God made food special for gorillas, special for polar bears, special for orangutans, special for birds, and not all birds eat seed, some eat snakes and meat. So if God made specific food for specific animals, God made also specific food for plants. This is a burdock leaf. You appeal to burdock for what? For iron. You don't appeal to burdock for magnesium. Magnesium is in trace mineral here, but iron is predominant. So there's a food for this plant. So I asked the judge, well, if the plant, the animal, the birds, has specific food that feed their cells, what about Homo sapiens? Are we exempt from that natural cosmic law? She said, no. I said, well, when you removed the Africans from Africa, did you bring his food with him? She said, no. So you see? So when you said that I like my ham, that's not your ham. That's not your chicken. That's not your biscuits. That is something that we have been conditioned to eat. And because we have been conditioned to eat those things, it makes love difficult to come out. When I talk to my wife about the girl, what's wrong with you? You know, it's never a situation where it is always pleasant, regardless to what happened. And I suppose that once upon a time I was there, but I don't remember being there after 30. And after 30 was when I began to, a lot of children was born to me. I think about 15 of them. So I began to compare myself as a father before this change with these herbs, this health that I'm experiencing now. As I go back into my life, I remember once picking up a belt, but I don't remember if I hit the child or not. But I do know this, that all of my children from 30 until 65, I don't even think about raising a belt. But you see, there was a change in the house. With me, there was a new wife in which she came up with me, and there was no milk in the house. There was no cheese, there was no butter, there was no eggs, and there were no breakfast. My son told me the other day that 19 years he is now gone by, and that he's going to sue me because he will sue me for child abuse, because in his 19th year he never had a breakfast. See, we just didn't have breakfast. It was easy. So the children that came up in that environment just grew up, and they're free children. And I'm going to mention one of them and go on. Her name is Nia. She is the daughter of a friend of mine in Los Angeles. And as I talk about Nia, I'm seeing my 4-year-old daughter and another one in Chicago named Mariama. These 3 little girls has something in common. They sucked their mother's breast for 4 years. Nia, when she's 3 now. You ask her, Nia, how old are you? I'm 3 years old. I was born in 1996, the 30th of May. What else you want to know? We take Nia to Oakland. Carelessly, we walk into the store, and this woman said, "You're so cute. Such a beautiful little girl." And Nia is very beautiful. She hands the beautiful little girl a candy. And Nia said, "I don't eat that. That's against my diet." 3 years of age. All right? My daughter's the same way, and Mariama is even worse. I could go anywhere with these 3 little girls. I won't have no problem. And what they had is that all 3 of them stopped using the bathroom in their diaper at age 1. Why? They didn't have those things that makes a child weak, that interferes, that brings disease. Most babies pass feces in the diapers even when they're 3 years of age. Not these 3. So I intend to go to Honduras in a couple of days. I'm going to go back to Los Angeles to take my little girl with me that she could see Nia, because Nia sent her a picture. They want to know each other's. Now, these 3 little girls are the example of what we have to do that I didn't receive when I was a child. Look at the journey. The journey is beautiful. If I, Sebi, at 30, being impotent with diabetes, weighing 291 with glasses, and I was able to retrieve my life from that age until now, all of us in this church could do it this evening. Sure, we could do it. All we need is love from one another and understanding. And that is what Mr. Charles Gray is trying to generate here in, well, he's in New Jersey, right, in Camden. We're trying to create a family of health, because all of those things that was afforded us, vitamins, enzymes, protein, it ain't cutting it. It's not getting it at all. May I have some of the products, please? So it's not getting it at all, because we're still weak, we're still sick. So Nia, Saama, and Mariama, the mother said to me one day, wouldn't it be nice if Nia, Saama, and Mariama meets a little boy that likewise his mother did not afford him any soy milk, cow milk, cheese, butter, and eggs? That's okay. It would be nice, because the quality of their baby would be superior to that of the sperm that made us. But then, like everything is in divine order, there was a reason why we had to go through this journey. We cannot curse ourselves, because if we say on one hand that God wills everything, well, Jesus was on the cross. Should we be angry? No. God wills everything. So there must have been a reason why we were the sacrifice up until that point. Now with this new message of God, it's showing, hey, we could be healthy. And we don't have to be angry at each other. We could afford to give love. But to give that love and to live in that peaceful world, we have got to change that diet. You're not going to do it eating hog maws. It's impossible. This is why all these people that goes to see these spiritual readers and all this stuff, look at what those people eat. See, once you're awake, once you are awake, in other words, they cannot hoodwink us. So what we're saying here, that the Usha research on Dembele has gone to the forest to produce this for you. This is the new product. This product enters the body, and unlike most products that is offered to you, this one here assimilates immediately because it is electrical. This is a product known as BioElectro 1. It is sold in company of BioElectro 2. But if you want to buy one by itself, it gives you energy. BioElectro 1. BioElectro 2, which is the partner, you could get that. The boat goes like this. One is for the intestines to clean out. The other one is to give you energy. It is not designed to cure any disease, but it would certainly change the course of your life overnight without a shadow of a doubt. These two. What you could even do is to make me out a liar. Buy it, hold it. Go to the health food store and buy vitamin A, B, C, D until Z. Take those things for 2 months. At the ending of 2 months, you take this. And what you're going to feel in 24 hours, they would not have afforded you in 2 months. Why? Because you didn't know that the product that is supposed to give you energy has to be composed of the same elements or minerals as does the human body. Carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And only God made those. This is another one. This is the Maya Electra. They look alike on the label, but there's a writing here that distinguishes one from the other. This one, to me, is next to this one. This one, you're going to hear the story. Remember what we said, that God made food for a plant, specifically for plants. Each plant has a different food. Birds, eagle eats meat, not a sparrow, not a hummingbird. He sucked the nectar from the flower. Gorillas, he eat leaves. Polar bear, he eats seal and blood. Homo sapiens is making a mistake someplace, somewhere, because among the animals, there are some that are carnivorous and some that are herbivorous. But among Homo sapiens, everybody eats meat. Something is wrong. Because if among the animals and plants, you could see a distinct food for each cellular structure, well, how come Homo sapiens are exempt from that same law? There are no vegetarian among the Homo sapiens. How I found out that black people should be vegetarians, because when I begin to remove you from that meat and that stuff, that grease, you begin to say in 1 week, how the pain that you had for years begin to disappear. But then the body's already weakened. I am now 65, so I don't have the energy like I used to have, you know, boy. I'm like, you know, I'm not a young man anymore. You're not young anymore. Well, I'm 66. You're just 65, Egbert. Man, but you, man, you, yeah, man, you. You know, then he's my friend from small. Ever since we were 5, I know Egbert. But Egbert at 65 is old, old, old. But he doesn't have to be that. Why? Because Egbert didn't have the openness to accept like I did. Egbert went to school. Egbert got a master's degree. And Egbert knew that I didn't go to school. So Egbert used his master's degree to decipher everything I had to say, and it didn't fit. So therefore, I was dumb. So at 30, I found someone that spoke to me, and I didn't believe that he was lying. I delivered myself to Alfredo Cortez, and 90 days later, I didn't have any disease. I didn't eat anything. I believe what he said. He said, don't eat for 90 days. All of you would say, what? Don't eat for 90 days? Then how am I going to live? How are you going to live? The stuff you eat is killing you. So if you just stop eating it, that's a plus. That's a plus in itself because it's killing you. Stop it. What is a good breakfast? 3 glasses of water or 4. Why? Because that's electrical. So when Egbert walked and Egbert didn't have food from the day he was born, I was fortunate that at 30 I met someone that introduced me to food, to God food. So I got iron in large quantities, and that is the mineral that is consistent with us, the black people, iron. The doctors tell you that you're not supposed to take iron because it would bind you. He is 100% right, providing the iron is ferrosulfate. It will bind you. But if it is the iron that God made that we use in our compounds, it gives you energy. It makes you, hey, I could do more work and I'm not tired. Well, of course, the body needs energy. And you could only get energy from the substance that God made, not from aloe vera, not from comfrey, not from peppermint, golden seal, garlic. These are all man-made products, and you didn't know it. No, we didn't know it. Because if we had, we would not offer that. Now, you know something? Somebody is being caught with a hand in the cookie jar. Go read the herbal books that our brothers wrote. And in all of them, they got garlic. Boy, they're in trouble. Because after you have read these books and have not received from these books any cure, and then you have these things in there that doesn't work, what is he going to do now? Is he going to tell you guys, I'm sorry? What saved me from saying I'm sorry is that Mrs. Holloman is a woman that I was treating in Los Angeles. I was a very young healer, maybe a year into it. I'm rubbing her legs with the salve. This salve works for anything. Rest assured, headaches, backaches, even stretch marks, you remove them. Hemorrhoids, just name it. This salve works. So I'm rubbing her legs, and the circulation began to reestablish. She said to me, what am I going to eat? I said, drink penny carrot juice, drink beet juice, drink celery juice. And the woman said, stop. She said, son, you know how old I am? I said, yes, ma'am, you're 94. She said, well, I didn't get to 94 being stupid. She said, I didn't get to 94 being stupid. And what you just told me was something very stupid. I said, why, man? All the book says that garlic is a food, and so is the celery, and so is the carrots. You mix them together. She said, son, those things are made. I said, what, man? Made by who? It come out of the ground, man. God made everything that come out of the ground. No, son. She said, no, that's why you're crazy. Don't do that right now. Don't say that. I said, but man, all the book says it. I said, that's what the book says. That's what Miss Holloman is telling me. That's what the book says. God ain't saying that. And that's true. She said, what you do? Don't tell anyone that you're a healer. Stop. Just stop. Stop doing what you're doing because you don't want anyone in the future to do this. You told me something wrong. Don't do it. When I was working as a steam engineer, I was doing this on the side. So she told me to go to the University of Arizona, Department of Agriculture, Industrial Agriculture, Plant Husbandry. I went to UCLA, I went to Minnesota, I asked for books that was related to the subject of agriculture, and guess what I found? That everything you find in the supermarket was made. They have 666 varieties of apple. They have 32 varieties of cucumber. Rice, they have about 25 varieties of rice. But you know what we didn't know? Is that anything that has starch, God didn't make. And do you know that everything that man made has starch in it? Whether it is collard greens or mustard greens or whatever? Because God could not have made something with starch. Because God would be making something to offend the people that he so loved. God doesn't do that. So this iron that we all need, I was recommending it. We have it in two forms, see? This bottle and this little capsule. I were in Los Angeles, and I had seen all of the patients. My compound had ran out. All I had was a case of iron and one little bottle of cleanser. A man called and said how sick he was and that he was on the way. Didn't give me the chance to tell him, look, I don't have anything else. The man came, but by the time that he left his house to get to me, I was on 82nd Street in Crenshaw in Los Angeles. I done designed something in my head. He sat down, he said he had poor circulation. His back was hurting him. High pressure. Seldom went to the bathroom. And when he walked, he said he didn't walk straight. He would, like, he wanted to sway. That happens when the eardrum is clogged and you're losing your balance because the head is clogged. Me and my ingenuity, I told the man, I want you to take one bottle of this a day. A whole bottle. One a day for 10 straight days. This is iron, sir. And you're going to take this little bottle only at night. On the third day, what this man told me on the third day of taking the third bottle, I have not heard from any one of you who have taken all the compound for a disease. This man was rampant and raving. Look, the man didn't know what to tell me, brought all his friends together to come and buy this medicine that I gave him. So it was until 3 years later, I want to know why this man was ranting and raving and giving me all these praises, because I gave him only iron. When I go back and do my homework again, review my papers and my notes, I forgot that iron, the lack of, deficient of, causes 40 manifestation of disease, because the body begins to lose energy. The immune system begins to give way. There is no oxygen going to the brain now because iron is low. And it is iron that conveys oxygen to our brain. I said, oh God. That's why we wrinkle so young. Is that why we begin to lose energy and begin to walk over a little bit? We don't walk straight no more. You see, we don't notice when we're doing this until we're way down here, you know? But we gradually bend because iron has dropped below that level that the body desires to be. Iron has been omitted from our diet for 500 years. When all of you that came to see me, I would recommend that you take 2 tablespoons 3 times a day. And even the 2 tablespoons 3 times a day, you feel, hey, I'm back alive. But look what I'm doing. I'm only giving you that which is going to be consumed in that day. So this man showed me how deficient we are in iron. And from that day onwards, I told my wife, I said, Ma, whenever someone asks for a treatment, please tell them the importance of iron. And if they could afford it, to spend that other money, which is about $200, but what you're going to receive is more than you're going to be able to convey to your friends that you feel. Why? Because when I recommend 2 tablespoons 3 times a day, that is the iron that you would have used up in that day. But then you go back down again, you got to take some more again and take some more, and you go back up. I understood why this man told me on the 3rd day he was only sleeping 2 hours. And he had all this energy. And that he was having sex again. The man was 78. And he was happy. That's long before Viagra. So what was happening? The man was replenishing the reservoir. Say the reservoir is from the tip of this mic down to this Bible. Our reservoir of iron is way down here. So when I give you 2 tablespoons, this is going to be consumed in 1 day. But if I give you a bottle a day, for 10 days, you are raising now the level of the reservoir. So by the time you get up here, all you have to take now is what? 2 tablespoons 3 times a day, because the reservoir is high. I figured that one out, and I've been doing that ever since. So I'm saying that to you, brothers and sisters. If you have that, you know, that backache when you wake up in the morning and all the other stuff, when you buy a bottle of Maya, yes, it may cost you $25, but I tell you what you're going to receive for $25, you would not receive for $375 anyplace else. It is iron fluorine, not ferrous sulfate. It is electrical. It is made from the finest earth from the tropics. The salve, well, what could I say about the salve? I named the salve the Eva salve. Why Eva? Eva Britt, Washington, D.C. Eva was in a wheelchair, stiff. She was stiff. She could walk. She was in a chair, laying down. For 28 years, from age 12 till age 40. I began giving her the compounds internally. I began to put the salve on her joints. Rheumatoid arthritis. At the ending of 3 months, Eva said that her joints was paining her exactly the same way they pained her when she was going into the disease. So she knew something was happening. 1 year later, Eva got out that chair and was walking completely. It was a year, but she's walking now. And she went back to school and got a law degree. I named the salve after her. So Eva said one day to me, Dr. Sebi, now that I could stand up in front of the mirror and see myself, she said, I took the salve and I put it on a cyst that I had on my breast, and in 14 days it was gone. Another woman called in and asked, what do you have for hemorrhoids? I said, I don't have anything for hemorrhoids. She said, your salve. I said, well, how do you know? I put in my hemorrhoid, the pain was gone. And it went right back up. And it's been 10 days now, I have no problem. A dentist called and asked, what do you have for mouth lesions? I said, nothing. Yes, you do. I'll put your salve in my patient's mouth. Mouth lesion disappear in 24 hours. Try it and you see. That salve. Why these herbs work? Because of a simple thing. Knowing the plants that God made. The last one is the hair food. This hair food is made from a plant from the forest of Honduras. You may have heard of the Mosquito Coast. In the Mosquito Coast lives a tribe of people known as the Waika people. I would go visit them once in a while because they do have all kind of things, knowledge with herbs. They have a lot. In fact, no one dies there by a snake bite. Not even dogs. The most poisonous snake, no way. There's this herb. It's a flower from a plant that grows like a palm. They call it batana. La flor de batana, the flower of batana. This will make your hair grow, and it will give it luster. It is just the best, magnificent. It is good. That's another product. So we have products here which doesn't occupy a bunch of shelves. You know, like when you walk in a health food store and you have 5,000 products. Take your pick. But as you take them, you still wind up sick and weak. Here, we only have few. The males, we have the T1, we have the H1 for female. That's for male, those of us who are having some problem, and it's also good because it's loaded with zinc phosphate, which goes to the prostate glands. The female, likewise, we have the H1, which is to replenish, help the body to produce its natural hormones, not an artificial hormone. So yes, brothers and sisters, we offer electric food for an electric body. And I think that we come to a close. But before we leave, I want to say thank you for your presence. And thank you so very much. But now we go into the question and answer period. Are there any questions? Yes, sir. You still need this? Yes, sir. No, wait. It's kind of a fuzzy. If what? Overactive thyroid. An overactive thyroid, could there be something for it? Well, of course, overactive or underactive. Underactive thyroid gland means that it needs to be fed, which is iodine, natural iodine. Overactive means that there is an acid condition that is causing the gland to go haywire, which depletes the body of energy. So what we do, we treat the central nerve system and the gland itself with herb that has potassium iodide, bromides, and phosphates. Yes, we do have something for that, and we have been successful 100% of the time. Yes, sir. That was the question. Next question. They work for black and white, Chinese, Arab, and Eskimo, because we are all tied to the energy of God. But what I'm saying, that the herb work for everyone. There is a mineral that is consistent with us that we have not been receiving, which is what? Iron. Yes, sir, they work for everyone. In fact, in my early days of healing, most of my patients were white people. Yes, sir. If what, sir? Yes, sir.
I had and these
There is a young man that is from Philadelphia, and I don't know if he's here. William Malloy, are you here? William was in Honduras just recently, and he went down there with a cane, and he had cancer of the bones, and he was treated with radiation, and he came back on his own without the walker. So yes, radiation doesn't guarantee a cure. Okay. Okay.
Just want to interrupt and make one announcement. We probably, as I indicated, probably sold out of the urban compounds. On Friday of this coming week, we will have enough supply to last for at least another month. So for those of you who don't get it today, we have to remember on the slip here. The compound will be available in Camden on Friday. And we're going to talk about that after Dr. Sebi finishes answering all the questions. One of the difficulties that Dr. Sebi has had is that different people have sold this product at different prices. The prices that you see in the list here were the suggested retail prices. Those prices after Friday will change only for two of the products, and that is the Maya and one of the two other products. We'll go over that. But we're asking that those individuals who have been selling the product see me afterwards because we want to make sure that there's some consistency. Dr. Sebi is also changing his strategy in terms of how large quantities of that is going to be released. So we want to make sure that there is consistency. And I'm sorry, Dr. Sebi, I just want to make sure that. So we'll go from this side to this side, and we'll alternate the questions.
Yes, yes, sir.
Good evening, Dr. Sebi.
Oh, after finish with the young man, yes. It would not interfere with the treatment. Alzheimer's, we have been successful too with that because we removed the mucus from the brain. Yes. It would be good, but they work whether you're going to diet or not. But if you stop the diet, if you go on the diet, it'd be much better, be easier. Be easier. And about Alzheimer's, I know you guys know about Mr. Brady Keys. He's the man that used to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. His mother he brought his mother to me, and she was remembering most things after 3 weeks of treatment, way back yonder.
Good evening, Dr. Sebi.
Good evening.
Okay, the Mara Electric, is that also good for tumors and cysts?
No, it was not designed to do that. Cysts and tumors has to be a therapy. That's what I offer. That's what I do in consultation. These products are not to cure any disease. These products are designed to revitalize the body. But to cure a pathology, I have to do a consultation with you.
Okay. And also, you mentioned some of the natural foods that we can eat.
Some of the foods?
Natural foods.
Natural foods you could eat.
Created by God.
Yes. Well, she have a list up there. They have a list up there. They will give that to you. Thank you. But what another thing in answer to your question, these are created by, these are foods. These are not medicine. You see, we think that food is something that you cook. No, food is something that nourishes you. And what nourishes what God made, and they're all in the form of herbs and berries and fruits. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I wanted to ask, can you hear me?
Yes, talk loud.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I was able to purchase two products. I got the Maya Electric, and I got the Maya Electric too. Do they go good together?
Yes, they go good together. That's the way it's supposed to be taken, 1 and 2.
Okay. No, I got the Maya.
The Maya?
And the Maya Electric too.
Okay, that's good. They work together. Right, right. Yes, sir. You take those to help to regenerate energy in the body and to remove some toxins. But it wasn't designed to cure any disease. But it would give you energy over and above what any vitamin would give you. Yes. You take the bio 1 and 2 to cleanse to some level and to energize. But I usually put the Maya with it because the Maya gives such a great boost to the 2 because it assimilates faster because it's a liquid. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. For what? The 1 and 2, the bioelectro 1 and 2. The what? Swelling of the feet. That's different now. That's meaning that we have problem with the kidneys or retention of salt, sodium, which has to be flushed out. And I usually like for the person to go into therapy. But you could try the bioelectro 1 and 2. See how much that will do, and then you will know where you should change. She doesn't what? That's good. Yes, I would. I don't know anything about chiropractic. Yes, ma'am.
Osteoporosis.
Osteoporosis. We are now addressing the bones, right? Joints and bones, calcium. Yes, we do. Bioelectro would help. But then the salve would be good too. But then she will have to take something with calcium. That is why I recommend when there's a disease such as osteoporosis, and others, you have to take the whole treatment. Because in the treatment you get calcium, phosphorus, and all the necessary minerals, Like in the case of osteoporosis, the bones. Sure. But you could take that and see how the person would feel. It works anyway.
Inguinal hernia.
Which one?
Inguinal hernia.
I had one of them. And depending how far it is in stage, what's happening, because it means that the intestines at some point is weakened, and then it is filled with toxins, and it's very painful. It paralyzes parts of the body sometimes. Depending on the stage of it would determine whether there is a chance to do it with herbs. There is always a chance that the person abstained from eating. The body will release the toxin and strengthen those, elastic fibers. Sure. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hello. I have two questions. One is about calories and changing the diet. A registered dietitian will tell you that the body needs at least 1,000 calories, or will go into starvation mode and the body will begin to consume vital organs and so on. How valid is that?
If it was valid, then I would be dead. Because I don't take any calories, and I don't know how they relate to the human body. The human body wants energy, electricity. In other words, the human body only receives what it is made up of already. Like if I ate A, and the body is composed of B, then this A have no place in me. There's no affinity for it to assimilate and do work. So, no, calories has no place, because I take my compounds and I eat very little, and I have more energy now at 65 than I did at 30, and I was taking all kind of stuff then that amounted to what we would consider calories.
Now my second question has to do with dialysis. And if a person begins that, if a medical doctor is telling a person that your kidneys are suffering from kidney disease, and at some point the tests show that you need to go on dialysis, is it possible? I mean, what do you think of dialysis? And number two, could the kidney regenerate itself through the use of the herb?
If Zaja Ife brain cell regenerated and Teddy Pendergrass spinal cord regenerated and connected again, then I think that dialysis is another one of those that could be reversed. You know, like kidneys, kidney infection, kidney stones, kidney tumors. There's a Spanish program known as Univision. And a little boy, 4 years of age, had tumors in his kidneys. And I have that tape, but it's in Spanish. And this little boy, they were going to operate on him, and I don't know what they were going to do. But the little boy no longer have tumors in his kidneys. Dialysis patients, on the other hand, grown, they like to eat meat. They love to eat meat. They tell them to eat meat to replenish energy and all that stuff. And I have a problem with them. I only was successful with one. Only one. Out of maybe 50. One. And he got off the dialysis in 2 months. His name was Raghunanda. The diet is important. Then you can't drink water, and water is necessary because they talk about creatinine, they talk about potassium, they talk about fluid, they talk about all these things that the body really needs. They negate that. They deny that. Yes. That is the only man I agree with. He was the only man that I ever agreed with. There aren't any books written by anyone, whether white, black, Africans, or whoever, that I agree 100%. We have had brothers who wrote books that copied from white premise of philosophy. Look at all of them. They all have aloe vera in them. They all have burdock in them. Well, burdock is good, but they all have a bunch of herbs such as golden seal in them. And you know that if they had done research, they would not have afforded that to our people because those things are dangerous. Arnold Ehret, on the other hand, he talked about the mucusless diet. He doesn't talk about herbs and how to cure disease, but he said that if you stop eating foods that would break down the mucous membrane, mucus-making foods, that you would be healed again from any disease that you have. Just stop it. Arnold was a white man, as you know. He was a German. He made a mistake. He told the world that a black man was inherently superior to a white man. They didn't like that. He also said that when the white race stopped eating acid foods, that the body would begin to turn brown, like an Indian. Yes, he did say that. And he also said that when he tried himself, he used himself as an example. He was in good health, and he cut himself, and the wound healed in less than no time, maybe 5 or 6 days. It was closed and there was no pus. He began eating potatoes and carrots and cabbage, and when he cut himself, it turned to pus, and it took a long time to heal. This is why when you find our sisters with these sores on the side, those indolent ulcers, it takes a long time to heal, and they never heal. Arnold Ehret is the only person that I agree with 100%. Yes. I want to say something. There is a sister in this audience that has been following. We have been close for many, 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 many years. I would say like 13 or 15 probably. The sister came to us, and she had cancer of the breast, and she's in your audience now, and she sells the compound, and she'd have done a beautiful job. Sister Maxine Salam. I would like for her to come up and say something if she's nearby. She's a beautiful sister, someone that you're going to love. Where are you? I know she have a lot to say, and what she have to say you're going to like. because when she talks, I'm inspired too. It was her advice to she told me to bring this product and show you because I never show you anything. And she was the one that recommended that. Here is the most beautiful Sister Maxine Salam.
Dr.Sebi said carrots was a starch. I just rejected him, and many times we reject our own because of a degree of self-hatred we have for ourselves. When someone from another race tells us something, we're just kind of sick that way. And I'm telling you, this was my problem. However, as I continued to take the herbs, I continued to pray for strength, I continued to talk to friends who knew that this product worked. At that time, we had an Herbal Research Institute in Brooklyn, and that became my social life. Every weekend, I would travel from Newark to Brooklyn and just meet so many different beautiful brothers and sisters who were bearing witness to the success of what these herbs do. Me, in my frightened state of mind, I had no knowledge, but I was blessed to come every weekend and sit among these brothers and sisters. And actually, I didn't meet Dr. Sebi until 6 months after I had started taking the herbs and started cleansing. Today, it is my way of life. I make a living distributing the victory products. They are my best friends. I travel with the herbs in my pocket, everywhere in my pocket. I take them to work, and I was so happy when they changed over from the liquid to the capsules. At first, I wasn't so happy because, you know, as I'm taking the liquid, it goes directly into your blood system. It doesn't have to be broken down or digested. But actually, it was a progressive move to put the herbs in a capsule form because it's very convenient, you know. Like Dr. Sebi says, we have been told so many untruths, so many blatant lies, such as milk is the perfect food. That is one of the biggest lies that we've been told in our life. Now we're discovering what they're telling us, that it's the fattest food, that it causes heart disease because of the cholesterol. So now you see them with 2%, 1%, 0%, all kind of you know, it's by design that the biggest businesses coming up today are places like CVS, Rite Aid. You know, notice the businesses that they're building in our community. It's by design. First they bring us McDonald's about 30 years ago, and now here they are with CVS, Rite Aid, Eckerd, all the pharmaceutical stores. You have to take heed. When you start taking these herbs, it does affect your thinking, your perception, because it's true. It's similar to going to the supermarket and seeing so many older people, so many mature people like myself and older that are hooked on Coke and Pepsi. It's a shame how many people are addicted to Coke and Pepsi, and most of them are over 35, because the younger people are, you know, doing other things. Okay? Our taste buds have been actually perverted because of our diet of artificial food. Okay? We have to take heed, and it's wonderful that Dr. Sebi has been invited into the pulpit to give this message. It is truth. And I'm thankful. I'll always be grateful for Dr. Sebi and his contribution to humanity and for the wonderful herbs. They are excellent. The quality of these herbs are superior. I have no customers, no clients, no friends that have been disappointed with the herbs. I just pray that more people take heed and come so that I can get off of that 9-to-5 job that I have. I haven't quite made it yet, but trust me, folks, the herbs are wonderful. The herbs are the real food. So if you really want to do yourself a favor, and this is one, I'm going to say one more thing. When I went to Dr. Sebi one time, he told me that actually I was so uptight, like most of us are, when we desire to make the transition to a better life. We worry about, well, what do you eat? If everything is hybrid and everything is man-made, I mean, you know, you do get in a tizzy, for lack of a better word, because you say, well, what can I eat? Sebi, as we affectionately call him, said, you don't have to eat anything. Drink the water and take the herbs. And the herbs are your food. Well, my mind just couldn't. It was a little too deep for me at that time. You know, it was too heavy for me to comprehend. But in reality, it's the minerals in the herbs that feed your body, that give you life, that give you energy, that remove the mucus and the toxins and the pollution and the poisons. So in reality, we eat for nourishment. We've gone off on a tangent, and we're eating now for, you know, just satisfying our taste buds and our lower desires. But food in its origin is for the nourishment of our bodies. Okay? So getting back to when Sebi told me to just take the herbs, Maxine, I was so scared, you know, of dying. Wasn't quite ready, like most of us are not. But psychologically, I was in a lot of fear, but I listened to him, and I did start just taking the herbs and just drinking the water. And this has been 11 years ago, okay? And they talk, and it's a shame. Sisters call me up. I meet sisters every week who have had mastectomies done to them. I tell them, if you're up on top of things, they're saying in the New York Times, they've been saying here in the last recent years that the mastectomy is totally unnecessary. Totally unnecessary. I knew a young lady who had breast cancer. She went on and had the other breast taken off because she was afraid she was going to, you know, it was going to metastasize to the other breast. She died anyway because it went to her spine. So it's ridiculous to just submit to these things. You have to, you know, compare what he tells you. If you don't believe him, do like I do. I did. I had to go all the way to California to the health food store and get a chart that the Caucasian had produced that said, yes, carrots is a starch. Granted, it might have some kind of nutritional benefit, but the evil, what he's saying, the mucus is far worse than the benefit, okay? And I could go on and on, because that's what I do, is on a part-time basis, I talk about Sebi's herbs, and I could do it all day long, okay? But I'm just telling you, I bear witness that the herbs are the best. They're of an excellent quality. No, they're not on TV. They're not, we don't have shiny ads in the magazines. It's a shame that we don't. But somehow, people underestimate the quality and the value because it is not, into big advertisement. But believe me, Sebi's herbs are the best. One of the best things that happened to me in my life. I never had any chemo and any radiation in my body. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Sebi, one of the things that people have asked as you respond to Maxine's salam, whom I've known for many, many years, the folks want to also talk about how they can become distributors, work on behalf of the Institute, and there is something that we did have on the response form that all of you have about the trip to Honduras. So if there are those who are here, and I know at least 2 people with whom I have spoken who had indicated that they would like to become distributors and work on behalf of the Institute, you can put that on this form when you do turn it back in to the back of the room. For all of those who are interested in becoming distributors and also working full-time for the Institute. And Dr. Sebi can explain it better than I can. He really wants sisters because he don't believe that the brothers are really that committed. So I just let him talk more about that. Dr. Sebi, if you can address that issue.
Well,
and even respond to Maxine.
About the brothers not being as committed, there are certain areas of this healing that, yes, my wife said that she would prefer the sisters, but as far as distributing the product, that's different. But during that consultation, she said that women are more sensitive because life came out of her. She'd be able to nurture life back easier. That's why that was done. But about the distributors, of course, you could fill out the application. Right now, we have formed an organization that is dedicated to disseminate those products. The Dembele Group. The Dembele Group has a $200 million project. The $200 million also includes the Healing Center in Honduras. The $200 million includes the compounds, formulas. It would include 2 ships, 2 boats, refrigerated to bring herbs and different things from the tropics to the United States. 10 healing centers in 10 major cities, each one costing $2 million apiece. We'll have 10 farmers producing the foods that would supply those 10 healing centers. That would ensure that our food would be organically grown. We would also have the shoe factory and the clothing factory. All that comes up to a grand total of $40 million. We still have $160 million left that we could do a whole lot with. But you see, the question would be asked, how are we going to get these $200 million? Oh, we could do it very easy. We have done it twice already. But we acquired the $200 million, we gave it away. Show you how. About 5 or 6 years ago, there was a Million Man March in Washington, D.C. Each brother spent on the average of $200 to get to D.C., hotel, bus, or whatever. 1 million brothers went there and spent $200 on the average. That's $200 million. So we went to D.C. and we tell each other, we love you. We went back home. We spent $200. In that one day, we gave away $200 million. You see how we always elect to do something against ourselves? Now, the Dembele Group is saying, if we could throw away $200 to go one day, would you invest $200 in a project of the magnitude of what I just presented? After we own all these centers and all the farmers have received $1 million apiece, now we have a clothing factory and a shoe factory, we have the healing village, we have the formulas, we have an industry that the world needs. Not only you, not only us, but the world itself. $200. That's all. So those of you who want to sign up to the Dembele Group, please do so, because it's a matter of urgency. This $160 million that was identified as that was over that which we're going to do initially, do you know how many of you sisters and brothers in the neighborhood above 80 on a fixed income and have no one to care for you? Look what we have just done. We have $160 million left over. If we put $100 million in CD, we have $30 million interest. We could take $30 million every year and help those of us who cannot help themselves. Look what we'll be doing with only $200. But since I'm a brother, I could become like someone that would like to pocket the money and go south or west. The sister that designed this told me to give this information to you, and that in this city there would be, like Mr. Charles Gray, he would be in charge where you could write to, but there would be one bank in which you would send that money to, and your name. Because there's something about monies. You know, in the disease state, when we see a lot of it, we go crazy. But we want to make sure that this project is being constructed and it will be done. Because we don't have anything that we have done collectively. But here we have the opportunity. We have the Japanese make the best cars. That's fine. We got the best medicine. We start off with an industry with the investment of how much? $200. Thank you. Next question.
I have two questions. She's been diagnosed with Addison's disease, and they told her that her adrenal glands is the
Her adrenal gland.
Right, is the reason why it's like that.
It sits on top of the kidneys.
Right, and also she only has 1% steroids in her body. What can
1% what?
Steroids. What can she do?
Well, she have to get the same treatment I've been affording all day, all evening. The cleansing and the rebuilding of the cells, plus giving her a lot of calcium and magnesium, phosphate. She could do a lot. Okay. But that is a consultation.
Oh, okay.
You tell the sister at the desk in front.
I'm not done yet. I'm confused. Are you saying that potatoes and carrots and all that stuff is bad, also golden seal?
They were made.
They were man-made?
Yes.
But they came out the ground, like you said before.
That is exactly what I told Miss Holloman. Why do you want to reject the carrot juice and the beet juice when they come out of the ground? You see, you and I went to school. Well, I didn't go to school, but you did. And my children, most of them did. But when you come home from school, all you come with is A, B, C, and 1, 2, 3. Then when you grow to be a grown person, then they give you philosophy. But never in the curriculum they showed you life. So how would you know what life made from what man made? You have no defense.
So
you don't know.
What's the difference between burdock and...
A burdock plant has 102 minerals. A plant that man made could not have 102 minerals because God make everything complete. Man, with a laboratory, he cannot titrate those minerals. So what is the difference? What God made is electrical, and what man made, not so. You're still bewildered because they didn't teach you that. They didn't prepare you in school, but they didn't prepare us in school for that. How would you know that? How will we know that now? How will we know that a mule was made through what? Crossbreeding. A horse and a jackass. But if God wanted mules to be here, he would have made mules, right? The same as the carrot. Next question. Talking to Mike because it's Mark. Yes.
I just wanted to know what alternative, let's just exactly that soil, what alternative is there to the soil?
The brother is asking about protein and soy. You know, there's so many ways I could answer that question. I could begin by saying that God did not make anything with starch. I could also say that George Washington Carver made plastics using soybean. So in other words, you give me something that is nutritious from which you could derive plastics from. There is a contradiction, isn't it? Furthermore, soybean was made in England by a white man priest by the name of Mendelin. God did not make soybeans. The fourth, soybean has nitrogen. Loaded with nitrogen. Isn't it a fact that when you plant a crop, you put soybean to replenish the nitrogen that the soil needs for the next crop? The answer is yes. But my human body has no place for nitrogen. It is a gas that would have killed my cells. Eat them up. Soy, the next is protein. Protein, I remember having to face a physician in Washington, D.C. You know, I'm the only herbalist that periodically I have to face the courts, the physicians, all these specialists. So there's a little girl with sickle cell anemia that was cured, and the doctors didn't want to accept it, and it was going through my dietary consideration, my dietary program. Dr. Steinberg at the pediatric hospital in Washington, D.C. said, well, Dr. Sebi, in looking at your dietary program for Achilles trout, you omitted protein. I said, yes, ma'am. Unless Dr. Sebi thinks that protein is an unnecessary food. I said, ma'am, the word protein is not an African word, and I'm an African. I don't even care about the word protein, because my ancestors came out of the jungles of Africa, and they were stronger than anybody else on the planet, and they didn't have anything that represented protein in the diet. So if anyone should be qualified to answer this question about protein, should be you. How many electrons per atom does protein contain? She said, I don't know. I said, but ma'am, if protein is a necessary food, it definitely has to have a fixed amount of electrons distinguishing protein from the other elements in the world, on the planet. For it to assimilate, it has to be electrical. And is protein electrical? Protein is dead. Next question.
Good evening. I have glaucoma, and I had surgery on the right eye, and I'm scheduled for surgery next month, June 24th.
The question is glaucoma. I could go back to this lady in St. Croix. This lady, oh boy, I always remember her name. This lady came to me. She said, Dr. Sebi, I have been operated on this left eye. I'm going back to Boston because my eye is bleeding in the chamber and the retina has detached. Miss Orange. Miss Orange. Orange is the last name. I said, ma'am, would you like to try our methodology for a while and see what would happen? On the first week, this lady was all enthused, which gave her the courage to want to pursue this. We gave her the treatment with a special eye wash. You know what happened? What happened to Miss Orange happened to Mr. Teddy Pendergrass right here in Philadelphia. When I came to see Teddy, his nerve from C4 was severed. You have never heard of cell regeneration, isn't it? Because if a nerve severs, you would never think that it would go back together, right? It will go back together. You have to provide the environment in the body for it to go back together. You call that chemical affinity. Chemical affinity is an electrical attraction. Cells of the same seek each other. Miss Orange, she had her retina detached. It took me 3 months. That retina was attached and she was seeing good again. All with the cleansing, removing that acid condition that divides cells. It not only divides cells, it divides you from yourself. You want to see it? Okay, I'm going to show you. I saw that one day accidentally too, because I'm still learning. I'm still seeing. I don't know everything about healing. I'm only telling you what has been accomplished by using these plants. Here is a man, when I went to visit him, there are 2 glasses of water on the table. But he's waiting for the nurse to come and give it to him. Why? Because when he reached, you know, he can't pick it up. His hand's right here, but if he ever do this, he's screaming. He better keep his fingers open. He better, because he had rheumatoid arthritis. So arthritis divides you from yourself, especially from me, even more distant. So you got to hold this, right? He couldn't do that. He had rheumatoid arthritis. So when you are all acid up, you've been divided, not only in yourself, with you and another. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I should take
the therapy, not this, the therapy itself.
The what?
The therapy. The intra, you see there are 2 treatments. One is the therapeutical, this one is just to buy and go home.
Okay.
This for energy.
Now tell me about Parkinson's.
We have Parkinson. I could think of Mr. Chandler, New York. He was my first Parkinson's disease case. He played bass. He said, Dr. Sebi, it was about 2 o'clock one evening, he came at the Britton Hall Hotel on Broadway Street in New York. He said, I'm not sick, it is my wife. I have to bathe my wife. For now, 9 years. I bathe her, I feed her, and I have to go play. And you know, as a musician, I'm 56 years of age, I don't make much money. And if this compound of yours is not going to work, I don't have $250 to give you.